From the UC Health Training Center, welcome to Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. Brought to you by Betfred, Bud Light Seltzer, Ford, and by USAA.
Day 10, after an easier day yesterday at Broncos Camp, the Broncos are back in full pads for what will be more of a traditional training camp type practice. And Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, those wideouts have been the talk of camp. So who better to bring on today than one of the savviest wideouts in recent Broncos history? Brandon Stokley will be by. He'll be joining Steve Atwater today. Welcome into UC Health Training Center, everybody. This is Broncos Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. I'm Matt Boyer. Sidney Jones, Phil Milani, Steve Atwater, and Brandon Stokley will be by just momentarily. Let's get you caught up a little bit on what you're going to see today. Today's practice, day 10, slated to go about 2 hours. Yesterday was a little bit longer than that, but they weren't in pads. Head coach Vic Fangio is saying he wanted to give the guys a bit of a break because we've been seeing a spell of some soft tissue injuries, and Fangio said that's just not acceptable to see at this point in training camp. So he dialed things back a little bit, but today the Broncos are in full pads, so expect things to kind of increase intensity-wise for today. As far as yesterday's highlights, there weren't a ton of highlights. However, because it was more of a scout team session type day, there were some good plays. Jerry Jeudy continuing to impress. We'll see him a little bit later on in our program. Kareem Jackson, that DB's room, another nice pass break up there. And then Jake Butt and Royce Freeman, two guys we've been hearing a lot about, both making good plays yesterday during those team periods. They're going to give that personnel department for the Broncos a lot to think about, especially when cut time comes on September the 5th. Now, Broncos Country, we miss you guys. We wanted to see you out here so badly this year. It wasn't possible. However, you guys have been crushing our live streams, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, and we love hearing from you, as you can see right there. So make sure to drop us a note, say hi, a comment, let us know where you're watching from. Use the hashtag Broncos Camp, or drop a note directly to Steve Atwater. Tell him hi, at Steve Atwater 27 on Twitter. Another guy that Steve Atwater has been very excited about this camp has been Bryce Callahan and that entire DB's room. Remember, last year, Bryce Callahan was out with a foot injury for the entire season. Not a great look for a guy who was supposed to be one of the top cornerbacks for the Broncos last season. However, this camp, Callahan is healthy. He met the media yesterday and said that nagging foot injury that plagued him last year, that's a thing of the past.
Yeah, I mean, I've had injuries in the past, but never, the same injury twice in a row. So that was something new for me. I know I've dealt with the frustration not being able to go out there and play, but to work all the way up into training camp and have it rehappen again, that was something new for me. So it was a new journey trying to get through that. Yeah, right now I'm 100%, man. I put the foot behind me. I'm not really feeling it at all out there. So moving forward from the foot.
Callahan's going to play a huge role in that DB's room, and he actually played a huge role last year as well, albeit not on the field. Justin Simmons says Callahan was a big reason why that DB's room last year was able to pick up so many of Vic Fangio's concepts so quickly, so it'll be good to have Bryce back out on the field 100% in 2020. Looks like practice is about to begin, so let's head down to 27 Plaza to introduce our Broncos legend of the day, and Stokley down the sideline, a common refrain with Broncos fans. Who could forget that catch in 2009 in Cincinnati? Brandon Stokley was part of some of the biggest moments in that 2000s to 2010 range for the Broncos. A diving catch in San Diego to beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football in 2012. Remember, the Broncos went undefeated in the regular season after that win. Brandon arrived in Denver in 2007 after a couple of successful seasons with a guy by the name of Peyton Manning, and then returned to reunite with Manning in 2012. 2012, of course, one of Peyton's first, of 4 division titles in Denver. Brandon Stokley joining Steve Atwater down on Hall of Fame Plaza. And Steve, when you hear Stokley down the sideline, you can only think of one play. And I got to imagine that Brandon has that playing in his house. It gets screamed at him at airports. I mean, that call is one of the most famous calls in Broncos history.
Yeah, when he pulled up in his car, he got out. That's what was playing on his phone. That's my ringtone.
Oh,
That's my
okay,
ringtone.
okay.
Yeah, that's my
All right, there we
ringtone,
go.
man. I don't have many highlights left in my life anymore now that I'm done playing football. But that you put that on your phone, it gives you great memories and a flashback every now and then when that phone rings.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for the introduction, Matt Boyer. Be stoked. Thanks for being here with me, man.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. I certainly appreciate it. This is such a great setup that you'll have here, and being able to sit up here with you, Steve, and listen to what you're saying and you're critiquing here and how you're seeing the football team, especially from the defensive side of the football, for me is a treat. So thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, you dress like you're a golfer. I think you're heading to play golf.
Later on this afternoon.
Okay, so
yep.
we want to give you that country club atmosphere.
I like it.
Here,
I
man.
like it. I feel comfortable, and this is this is a great place to watch practice.
Yes.
Really nice.
It absolutely is. So be stoked. What are you up to these days?
Well, just doing radio. I do radio from 12 to 3, and so I do that, and I got a couple kids.
Okay.
One a junior in high school, one an 8th grader. So they keep us busy.
Okay,
and
boys, girls, but yeah.
Two boys.
Two boys. Nice.
Yep. And so they're getting back into school now, like most people around the country, and so you're dealing with the virtual and in school. Some days not in school. So just dealing with all that stuff that most people are dealing with. Trying to play a little bit of golf.
Right.
And
hey, is your golf game good? Because Peyton Manning.
He threw me under the bus the
Well,
other day.
I'm just saying.
And this was right after this show. I mean, did you set that
You're playing
up?
with Tiger, man. Come on. I mean, you got
right.
What do you expect?
Exactly. I mean, who would you rather have as a golf partner? I mean, Tiger Woods or me? I mean, you'd rather have Tiger Woods, right? But that did hurt a little bit.
For me, I'd say you because, probably not as good as Tiger,
right.
And I'm not as good as you.
Right, there
golf,
we go.
So,
right, yeah, we'd be more equals, right?
Yeah,
I like that. I like that, Steve. Thank you. That made me feel good today. After he took that shot at me, Steve, our relationship is a little bit rocky right now, Peyton and I. So, we're working on things, and hopefully we can get things back on track here.
Yeah. So, look, 15-year career, 5 teams, 2 Super Bowls, and out of those seasons, you played, 4 seasons with Peyton?
I played, yes. Well,
3, 4, 5, 6.
Five seasons with Peyton. 4 in Indy, and then in 2012 here in Denver, which was such a treat for me to have another opportunity after I spent 07, 08, 09, and here, and be able to come back in 2012, Peyton's first year here. My kids were a little bit older. My oldest obviously knew what was going on, and that year was so much fun. I mean, it was, obviously the whole country was watching the Denver Broncos. What was Peyton Manning going to do? And so to be able to come back and be part of that team, and we didn't finish it the way that we wanted to. It was really
13-3. You guys were rolling, and then
we were.
Who could have predicted the play? Though?
Right, and it ended, as disappointing as I've ever had a season end. But that team was we had such a great team. We were talking about your Super Bowl teams, before we came on, and that team just felt like one of those teams.
Yes.
And we just had good guys. Everybody pulled for each other, and there was no individuals. It was all about the team. It was all about winning, and we just fell a little bit short, and that was sports. But that's still, I look back on that that year, and I have fond memories of that year.
Yes, and we got Coach Donatell over here talking to B. Stoke.
How you doing, Coach?
Hey, we see Jake Butt there on the screen, stretching out a little bit. And we've been talking, man. Jake Butt has been
Coach, do y'all have a spot for me? Do you have a spot? I want to work a little slot receiver. Yeah, I think I got one route for you, Coach. One left.
Hey, Coach,
love it.
Coach Donatell, let him know. He got a spot for him. What's up, Coach D?
Coach Donatell, the secondary defensive coordinator coach here, he was here when Josh McDaniels came. So he was actually part of the coaching staff. He was part of the coaching staff when I caught the ball against Cincinnati. And he was the one man on the sideline that came up to me. I ran down the goal line.
Right.
And I don't know, I wasted 3, 4 seconds, 5, whatever it was, probably not that big a deal. But he was so appreciative. He's like, you don't know how much that meant to us. Down late in the game, and you get your defense out there, 4 or 5 seconds is huge. That's one less play for him. So he was always so appreciative. I always remember that.
Man.
And he's such a great football coach and such a great guy. I was so happy to see him come back here with Vic Fangio last year.
Yeah, same here. Now, you know Ed and I, we have a history too. That's my guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, he was our coach when we won our 2 Super Bowls.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And he lived in Georgia. I sold him their house when they lived in Georgia.
How about that?
Coached their kids and coached his youngest son, Stevie D, in football.
Really?
Yeah, we had,
oh, wow.
He's my guy. He's my guy.
So he can kind of interrupt your show like that.
He can do whatever he wants.
Right?
Yeah. Ed D, he's got it, man. So, B. Stoke, your dad coached.
Yes, he did.
He was your head coach.
Yes.
In college.
Yes, he was.
What was that experience like? What was it like playing for your dad? I mean, were kids, other teammates giving you stuff about it, like, hey,
oh,
man.
Of course they were. Oh, yeah, of course they were. And, I grew up around that program. My dad was the head coach there for 14 years, I believe. And so I just grew up around football. He coached football and played football at LSU. And so, growing up as a coach's kid, you don't see your dad a lot.
Right.
Not a ton. He's on the road. He's recruiting. He's out. He's grinding. And that's just the way it was. And so to be able to go to college and spend 5 years with him and see him every single day was just priceless. And
did he ride you a little harder than some of the other guys?
No, not really.
Okay.
My dad was pretty. He liked to delegate to his other coaches, right? So he was everybody loved my dad. So he was that type of head coach. And so for me, he just treated me like everybody else. And I think I made it easy for him, though, because right away I was pretty good.
Okay.
So there was none of that friction. And I got redshirted my first year there. I ended up with over 1,000 yards in my freshman year, and I didn't start one game.
Oh, wow.
So they kind of were holding me back a little bit when it came to just having that perception. And I was fine. I didn't care. I was just like, okay, I played a lot of plays. I come in on the second or third, fourth play and played a ton of plays. And it was just kind of the way it was. And I was just like, whatever. It doesn't matter. But, yes, guys, you could tell would look at you a little bit differently early on. But you had to prove you belong.
And you had to work.
You had to work. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And, I was never afraid of hard work. So once you do that, you gain the respect of your teammates. And so, but that was a great time for me, Steve. 5 years there with my dad and being able to see him every day was really, really the time of my life.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could have coached, but what stops you?
The hours. They work too hard, Steve.
You
see what they do?
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, they are grinding, and I do love it, and I've coached high school the last couple years. I'm not doing it anymore, but I do love coaching, and I do love football, and there's an aspect of doing something during the week and then going out there on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday and seeing how it plays out for your team. And I love to compete, and I love football. So it's something that you never know I might get back into later down the line.
Yeah.
But I certainly love that aspect of it. I love watching young men that want it, get better, and trying to help them not only on the football field, but also off the football field. So for me, hopefully at some point I can get back into it. But I looked at the hours that they put in. That scared me away early on. But you look now, Steve, even like in high school, coaches put in tons of hours. So it's rewarding, but it's it's a big commitment.
Yeah. It's all of our viewers and listeners out there. It's Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. Remember, you can tweet us at Broncos, at Steve Atwater 27. You know what you think about my guest, Mr. Brandon Stokley. B. Stoke.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, man. We're thrilled to have you. You can also tweet us at #Broncos Camp. Now, also, go to our Facebook poll. We have a poll where we're going to follow the player who gets the most votes. We're going to follow him 5 to 10 minutes. But we got to hear from you. Go to our Facebook poll right now. Let us know which of these 4 players you want to see most. And we're going to announce the player a little later in the show, and then we're going to follow him for 5 to 10 minutes. 4 players. First off, 5th-year safety, Justin Simmons. He's playing on the franchise tag. I think a deal get done, right? I think a deal will get done after the season.
This is a big year for him. If he goes out and has a year like he did last year, I don't think you can let him walk. So you don't want to let good football players leave your building. And certainly, that was a John Elway draft pick, so he wants to keep him here. And you just don't know what's going to be happening with the salary cap and those types of things.
Right.
But certainly you want to keep a guy like Justin Simmons. Not only is he a great football player, but he's just a great person.
Yeah. Second player, third-year outside linebacker who missed most of the 2019 season with the knee injury. This guy's going to be a Pro Bowler, multi-year Pro Bowler. He's looking good out there, too. Opposite of Von Miller, Mr. Bradley Chubb, number 55.
How exciting was he his rookie year, and I thought he was just going to be hitting his stride last year when he tore his ACL. I think it was a Bears game, and that defense was trying to find its way early in the season last year. First time under Vic's defense, and it was a shame that it ended so soon for him.
Yeah.
But it's going to be exciting this year to watch Von and Bradley Chubb bookends just get after it. Second year in this defense, very talented defense, Steve, and so it's going to. I'm excited about this defense, but also very excited to watch Bradley Chubb this year.
Yeah, and Von Miller, he also went through similar injury.
That's right.
Early in his career, so he'll be there for support, kind of walking him through it. The third player, a lot of you guys know this guy, Mr. Alexander Johnson, number 45, also known as Dino for dinosaur.
How about his season last year? A guy that was fighting and clawing to make the football team, and then all of a sudden, injury, door opens up, and he gets an opportunity. And once he got that opportunity, that's kind of when the defense started taking that
Strides,
next step
yeah.
and becoming a great defense last year. And I don't think it was a coincidence that it was him inserted in the lineup when that defense started playing really, really good. But what a great story for a guy that just had to fight and claw to get that opportunity. Once he got the opportunity, man, did he take advantage of it.
Yeah, and the guy, he has such a good personality, good attitude about football. He loves football. He works hard. And just seeing him in training camp last year, him running down on all the special teams, and then when you're not starting, you're playing a lot of reps in the preseason. He played all those reps. He's available, durable. So, he'll be one of our guys in the poll. And then our fourth member of the poll, Jarrell Casey, was acquired in a trade with the Tennessee Titans back in March. Yeah, you say kind of a steal. We're certainly happy to have him. We appreciate him. Each of the last 5 years, he's been right with Von Miller in the Pro Bowl.
Yep, Pro Bowler, just a really, really good football player. He's been a captain of the Titans for forever. So a guy that does a lot in the community, and just the type of guys you want in the locker room,
right?
And to help the younger guys like a Jeem and Draymond Jones. So a guy like Jarrell Casey is going to be a big boost for this defensive line. And I think when you look at what you have on the outside with Von and Chubb coming off the edge, and now all of a sudden you get a pro like Jarrell Casey in the interior to put that pressure in the inside, where does the quarterback have to go? So I'm excited about watching Jarrell Casey this year. I think he's going to be a great addition, and he's gonna hopefully he'll continue those Pro Bowl streaks. Him and Von and Chubb will be in there hopefully this next year, and A.J. Johnson. How about that? Let's go for all four.
That's right.
But this defense and has a potential to be a great one this year.
Yeah, and these DBs, they're going to be the beneficiaries of that with more picks. And,
that's right.
Batted balls, pass breakups, all that good stuff. So go to our poll right now. Let us know which player you guys want to see, guys and gals, you want to see, and we'll let you know a little later in the show.
Well, Steve, you mentioned it. You talk about the pressure and who benefits the pressure. I mean, you played safety, obviously, and you look at the cornerbacks, and that's once you generate pressure. I mean, how huge is that for your secondary and because you can't cover. I don't care who you are, right? You can't cover for 7-8 seconds, right? So it's all about getting that pressure, and certainly the Broncos.
When you are getting pressure, then the defense, they start bickering in the huddle. Man, y'all got to get back, get to the quarterback. well, you can't cover, and, it tears everything up.
I would never have guessed that the defensive guys would be bickering like that.
Yes, every now and then it happens. So, B. Stoke, got some questions for you, my man.
All right, buddy.
As a receiver, and you're not considered the prototypical type size receiver. How tall are you, B. Stoke?
I'm 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet. 6 feet sounds a lot better than 5'11" and a half.
How would you prefer guys to tackle when they tackle? You want them to hit you in your knees? Probably not. Receivers don't like people getting hit in the knees. Or would you rather they hit you in the chest? Or put the helmet under your chin?
Not the chin. Stay away from the chin. I got enough issues with my face. I don't need any more issues with my face. So stay away from the chin and the face and the head area.
Okay.
Anywhere else, I'm good with.
Even the knees.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I never had an issue with somebody hitting me low. But see, most of the time for me, Steve, and you look at your size compared to my size, the safeties that see me, they just come to take my head off because I'm just a smaller type of guy. When if you're facing a bigger receiver like Cortland Sutton, now most of those DBs would try to hit him a little bit lower because he's got a little bit more bulk to him. Yeah. But me, they didn't really care. They're like, I'm just going to run through this guy. So nobody would ever go low on me. They were always going high.
Right. Okay, so, but if you could say, all right, when you tackle me this way, which way would you say? You say
I would say, in the chest. In the chest. Because, you want to try to protect your knees. And I want to protect my face, so I'll say the chest. The chest would be the best area for me to get hit.
Okay, all right.
Where would you go, Steve? Like if you were trying to, like back in the day, you just try to just annihilate people, right?
I tried to stay up on most people, unless somewhere I had to dive and lay out. Then then I tried to go low. I tried when I played against the Chiefs with Chris Okoye. They had Barry Word. Hey, I tried going low, man. I almost got knocked out.
Right.
Man, I got super dizzy. Like I can't do that. I got to stay up. And Dennis Smith, when we first were facing him, he told me stay up. We got to stay up on him. And that's how I ended up having a pretty good hit against him. And,
that was it, right?
Stopped him in his tracks there.
That's the hit that everybody knows.
Hey, what can wide receivers do to make the quarterback's job easier?
Be friendly, and what I mean about being friendly is be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. If it's supposed to be a 6-yard route, 6-yard route. Not 5, not 7. A lot of people listening probably be like, well, what's so hard about that? Half the time you got a DB right on your hip, right, and so trying to push you and bump you, or they got a linebacker right there in the middle of the field. Somebody like you trying to take your head off. I mean, those types of things. So, you got to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there.
Okay, so let me ask something about that. Okay, so if you're supposed to be, just say 6 yards, do you look at where you're lined up and you look and see where 6 yards is, or how did you do that?
That's a good question. And early on, yes, those are the types of things as young receivers, as a college receiver, you start looking at, okay, like how many yards, okay, 5, 10, 15, wait, 7, 18, okay, right, those types of things.
Especially if you're getting jammed, because if you're getting jammed, that's going to slow you down.
That's right. And then you have to have that internal clock in your head because the quarterback can't hold the football forever. So if you're getting jammed, now you and the quarterback know maybe that 18-yard route now is going to be 16 yards. Okay, because you got to have that clock in your head that goes off when it's time to come out of your break. But I think, the more you do it and the more you practice it, like anything in life, the more comfortable you get, and it just becomes a habit. Like, okay, I know where 6 yards is. It doesn't matter where I line up. It's just a habit. It's just natural. Boom, I run, stop. That's 6 yards, right? I run, stop. That's going to be 12 yards. Right. So the more you practiced it, the better off you were. And that's, when you see these quarterbacks and receivers doing routes versus air and tight ends routes versus air, it's all to get on the same page. But you got to be quarterback friendly, and you have to have that quarterback's trust that, all of a sudden it's the fourth quarter and you're down by 2 and you're backed up at the 30-yard line and it's a 3rd down and 6. I mean, you need to make a play. The quarterback has to know you're going to be where you're supposed to be. Right. You can't go to 8 yards and he's holding it thinking you're going to 6 and then he gets hit in the back of the head. So all of those things is how you get on the same page with your quarterback and how you get his trust. And I really do like what what I've been able to see from these wide receivers and how they work. And Zach Azzani, their wide receiver coach, he does such a great job with them. And but it's just reps too. It's practice. It's reps over and over again.
Now, when you lined up against the cornerback, would you rather see a smaller, quicker, faster corner like Bryce Callahan, or would you want to see the taller guy? You probably want to see the tall guys.
I want to see the smaller guys.
The smaller guys?
You know why? Because
really?
I'm not the biggest guy, and if guys got their hands on me, I was done.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I was done. So I want the smaller, quicker guys because I felt my best strength was my quickness.
Okay.
So, like, hey, I feel like if you don't get your hands on me, I'm going to beat whoever's in front of me.
Right.
That's the way I always felt. So I felt like my quickness was my best attribute. My getting off the line of scrimmage was one of my strengths. If you got your hands on me, I was not very good.
Right.
So I couldn't let you get your hands on me at all. If you touched me, it probably wasn't going to be good for me. So the longer, taller guys always gave me issues.
Wow.
So I preferred the smaller guys.
Well, you lined up like you were in the slot most of the time, right?
Yep.
So they were off the ball anyway. Would they still try and jam you when?
Yes, sometimes.
It makes it more difficult.
It does because you got that little gap between you and the DB if you're off the line of scrimmage. So, but yeah, they would still get up there and still try to jam you. College, started my NFL career, I always played outside. There was at that time there wasn't like you didn't have a classification. Okay, you're going to be our third wide receiver, really.
Right.
You had third down backs, but you played outside, then you moved inside. Yeah. And then once I got to Indy in my 5th year, we had Marvin Harrison and the great Reggie Wayne.
Yeah.
And so those two, I wasn't going to beat either one of those out. And so they just kind of put me in the slot and they just left me there. And then that's how I just kind of became more of a slot receiver and didn't do a whole lot outside after that, which was great. I enjoyed that.
Wow.
Some of the wear and tear off your body, right?
Oh, very good, very good. Now, from your point of view, what is it about defenses that made them tough? Like if you looked at film, what would a defense have to look like for you to say, man, that's a good defense?
Well, I think first, do they execute well? Are they in the right spots when they're supposed to be there? Do you see a lot of mental mistakes, blown coverages, or just little things like that you say, okay.
Did you have some teams that had a bunch of mental errors?
Oh, yeah, that you'd be going up against, especially against us, when I played in Indy, because you do so many things, you got so many weapons, it's just like they lose their mind, right? It's like they just lose it. They do things that you never would expect them to do. So you watch teams out there that just blow assignments, and one guy's playing man, the other guy's playing zone. But I think that the good ones are always on top of the details. And you watch a team like the Patriots, and it's the mantra, do your job. I mean. That goes a long way. Like, hey, don't worry about that guy's job. Just make sure you're doing your job. And when you see teams that are playing that type of football, it makes it tough. Teams that don't give up big plays make you earn everything along the way. They don't give you freebies. They don't give you the penalties, and they just make you earn it. And those are the defenses that are the toughest. They don't give you those freebies, those penalties. You're tough, you're physical, but you're also smart. And when you play those types of defenses, it makes it tough because it's hard to sustain 8-10 play drives without you messing something up, right? Getting a holding penalty or getting a false start, and now you're behind the stick. So I think those defenses that are smart, tough, and don't give you any freebies.
Any easy ones.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we just saw Brett Rippon a little while ago out there. What do you think about our backup quarterbacks?
Well, I think when you look at those guys, you look at Driscoll, a guy that's played in the NFL, right? You want some experience behind Drew Lock. I mean, he's your guy, he's your starter, and you want a guy that knows his role, and that's going to be there for Drew,
right,
and going to help him along the way when he has questions. And so, Rippon was here last year, and I liked what I saw from him. But a guy like that, he would benefit so much from having preseason games because he'd probably get to play a lot. But those guys, and a guy like Driscoll, his job is to help Drew Lock out as much as possible and make him as comfortable as possible. And anything that he sees, he passes that along to Drew. And that's why you bring a guy like that onto your football team to help your young quarterback out. But the most important.
So it's not so much how good of a player he is.
Right. You want him to, in case of an emergency, you want him to try to hold down the fort.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's there to support Drew Lock and to help him. And, meetings, film, what did you see here? Hey, Drew, I saw this. Those types of things. And just be a great mentor to him. And hopefully he is that type of guy. I'm sure that's why they brought him here, because that's a big part of it. And you hope that Drew stays healthy and you don't need your backup quarterback. But if you do, you're probably in a bad situation anyway.
Yeah. All right, great stuff. B. Stoke.
A lot of fun.
Yes. Hey, we're going to throw it over to Phil Milani, who's out there with Coach, outside linebackers coach.
Well, I'll
John
tell you a quick
Pagano.
story about John Pagano real quick. In that Chargers game, John Pagano got out on the field and almost tripped me. I'm still looking for John Pagano, so tell him that, Phil. I'm looking for him.
You got to see him
I still owe John. Tell him. He knows I owe him.
Steve, thank you very much. John, you've coached some of the best pass rushers in this league, guys like Jadeveon Clowney, Khalil Mack. What's it like working with Von Miller now?
Oh, it's been outstanding. I think the big thing, for us just right now, just getting into the flow of things, it's all about, techniques, fundamentals, and effort, and really trying to stress those things down from our footwork to, all those basic fundamentals to just really hone into our game and to keep improving off of it.
What did you know about him before coming to Denver?
Well, you always watch him as a pass rusher, so explosive. His, first step is something that you look at, his get off, just being able to keep adding to those things, keep using his hands. And with him, Bradley and Jerry and Malik and the guys have just, keeping them focused, keeping them working, and keeping them really understanding the fundamentals of the game.
You mentioned Bradley Chubb there. He's working his way back from that torn ACL last year. How's he look?
He's looking good. He's really improving on just the little techniques of truly understanding it, but it's also gaining back that confidence of him to really keep improving off his, coming off that injury, and so far it's been good.
Yeah, we see him out there working with that brace and everything.
Right.
He looks like he's going to be ready to go then.
Keep working every day. Just keep improving, keep working, and that's all we can ask out of these guys.
And last one for you here, Coach. What's it like coming back to Colorado, being back home?
It's been good. It's been good. It's very surreal to be a fan of this team growing up, and then having the opportunity now to be able to coach with them. It's been awesome.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's send things over to Sydney Jones.
Thanks, Phil. Now, Broncos fans, if you're just now tuning in, we are doing social media giveaways on our live show every single day. And today it's time to announce the winner of yesterday's prize, which is a signed football by the one and only Steve Atwater and Ryan Harris. And that prize is going to Stuart. Congratulations, Stuart. Now, if Broncos fans, if you haven't won yet, no worries, because like I said, we're giving away a prize every single day. And today's prize is another signed football, this time by Steve Atwater and Brandon Stokley. It's going to be a good one, so if you want to be selected for this prize, you must be following the Broncos on Twitter, and you must retweet the post about this prize. We'll be announcing the winner on Thursday's show, so make sure to tune in for that. Also, Broncos fans, if you continue to tweet at us, they will be showed on our live show, and we got one from Argentina, which we love to see, so keep tweeting at us using the hashtag Broncos Camp. Now we're continuing our Camp Confessional series today, and we were able to check in with Dalton Reisner. He talked about how camp is going for him so far and how much he misses you all being here.
I'm Dalton Reisner with the Denver Broncos, left guard number 66, and I'm giving you my Camp Confessional.
Let's go, baby. Let's go get it today.
It's been great. We've been waiting to play football for a long time. We're blessed to be able to do this. We're thankful that we can, and we can't wait to be able to start playing some football against other teams. We've been beating up on each other and going to work, and I learn a lot from the defense. I think they learn a lot from us, and we get each other better each and every day. love going out to training camp and having fans there and cheering us on and watching the good stuff that we do. So that's definitely been tough. But we want the fans to know that we love them and that, we're sad that they're not going to be able to be at the games and that we missed them. We long for the day to where, we get to be around them more at games or after games or at practice or whatever it is. If you're a Denver Bronco fan, we appreciate you. We miss you. We can't wait for the day where you guys pack that stadium full. I'm Dalton Reisner, and thank you guys so much for watching my camp confessional. You guys know I love you. Hope you guys love number 66 as well. We got a lot of great years to come.
Always a pleasure hearing from Dalton Reisner. Now, if you missed any of our camp confessionals throughout camp so far, you can find them on denverbroncos.com and our social media channels. We'll be doing one of those every single day, so be on the lookout for those. Now, Jerry Jeudy has yet to play an NFL game, but his talent is the talk of camp so far, especially from his teammates.
We'll say Jerry's pretty good. We'll put it that way.
He has this unorthodox way of running routes. He can get in and out of his breaks, no better than anyone I've ever seen before. For him to be a rookie, his tempo and his routes, the way he can change pace, the way he sells things, it's very rare.
Being in the league for a while, I've seen a lot of rookie receivers come in. It seems like they don't have it figured out, but you can tell that whether it's in the offseason, the coaching they had outside, they real polishing their routes, especially Jeudy. He never gives you the same look every time, and I'm just loving going against him because he's going to keep me true on my technique.
About Jerry Jeudy this season, and everyone's excited about the Broncos in general. Now, I know Broncos fans, you aren't able to attend camp in person, but we see your excitement on the virtual fan cam every single day, and we saw it again this morning with all of you welcoming your favorite players out onto the field.
Let's go, guys!
Now, with the pandemic this year, the Broncos Annual 7K will be happening virtually. That'll take place this Labor Day weekend. All participants can either run or walk their own 7K anywhere in Broncos Country territory. For more information on that and to learn how to register, you can visit broncos7k.com, and all the proceeds will be benefiting the Broncos Charity's COVID-19 relief efforts. All right, Broncos fans, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because when we come back, you'll be joined again by Steve Atwater and Brandon Stokley.
Training Camp Live, powered by Ford, is brought to you by BetMGM, Bud Light, UC Health, and by U.S. Bank.
We are back to Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. My special guest, two-time Super Bowl champ, 15-year NFL wide receiver, Brandon Stokley. B. Stoke, what's the word?
Doing great, man. I couldn't be any better. What a great setup we got here. We're watching practice. It's a beautiful day. I'm hanging with a Hall of Famer. I mean, come on,
we're
man.
In the shade.
Come on. We're in the shade. This is as good as it gets, Steve. Yes, come on, man.
Yes, I agree. So, Brandon, you and Peyton Manning have a special relationship.
We did until he threw me under the bus.
Yeah, he
but
threw you under the bus.
We'll get back there. We'll get back there, hopefully.
But if he throws you under the bus, man, come get me, man. I'll play with you, B-Stoke.
Okay, you got it? Okay, good.
You may not want to play with me anyway after that, but how did you guys build that relationship, B-Stoke?
Well, I first met Peyton in college. They started the Manning Passing Academy down in New Orleans, and they were looking for college counselors. Mm-hmm. And so I just got the offer to go down and be a counselor. It's a high school camp for wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, and at the beginning it was just kind of a smaller deal, and it has grown to be, one of the best camps in the country with kids from all over the country that go to it now.
It's still going on now?
Oh yeah, it's still going on now. You got you always have every single year now. So you'll have the best college quarterbacks that go there, whether it be a Trevor Lawrence, Tua as counselors, and Minshew was there. I mean,
as counselors. As
counselors, yeah. So they go help, and then they'll put on a little clinic on an evening. But yeah, they go as counselors and just as instructors
to help out the high schoolers.
Yes, to help out the high schoolers, but they also have a little deal where they have the receivers and the quarterbacks put on a little bit of show, and you got NFL executives there. I mean, it's grown to be a big deal. But I first met Peyton there, and back then with no cell phones, we would have a good time, New Orleans parts and down in South Louisiana. So we worked hard and we played hard, and so that's where we grew our bond. And then obviously when I became a free agent, I signed with the Colts in 2003, and our relationship has just grown ever since then. We're kind of wired the same, and we both love to compete, and we love golf, and we love football, and so our relationship has just kind of taken off since then.
Do you ever beat him in golf?
Very rarely. He's sneaky good. He's sneaky good.
He's as good as a golf as he. I know he's not as good as golf as he was in football.
But I'll tell you what he does in golf, though, which wouldn't surprise anybody. And this is what I do every time I play against him. And we're very rarely teammates. We have one match that we are teammates. Other than that, we're never teammates. Okay. We're never teammates. We always compete against each other. But I always expect when I'm playing with him, Steve, for him to either chip in off the green or make a 50, 60-footer. Because he always does it, and I don't want to be surprised when he does it. He always finds a way to make some kind of big play. You think he's out of the hole? No, he's not. He's back in the hole, and he just won the hole. So that's the type of golfer he is.
Oh, man, that's good stuff. And we're showing a defensive lineman there. You got Jarrell Casey, DeMarcus Walker, Shelby Harris, and I think
I'll tell you that,
Jones.
Yeah, that's a guy I'm really excited to watch this year, Draymond Jones.
Yes.
I just really am excited to see what he can do in his second year. He won AFC Defensive Player of the Week, not rookie, but Defensive Player of the Week, the one game late in the season.
He had an interception that game, right?
Yeah. So I'm excited about watching him in his second year in the NFL, and that's where you usually see guys take big jumps. I remember Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson didn't do a whole lot their rookie season, but that second year they started taking that big jump. So Draymond Jones is a guy I'm excited about.
Yeah, I mean, he's big body guy, strong. He showed that power and explosiveness last year, and I'm looking forward to more of that this year from him. Brandon, what are, you've been on a lot of teams, again, 15 years in the league. What are some telltale signs early on that you're on a good team?
Oh, that's a great question.
And I don't know if what you really know early on, right?
But I think, if you have that leadership in place, you got that leader. And, when I was with the Ravens and you look over there and you see Ray Lewis, and then you get, your former teammate Shannon Sharp, guys that are unselfish, that just are about winning football games. In Indianapolis, Peyton Manning. You have that leadership that, hey, there's a time to work, there's a time to do other things, but when it's time to work, let's work. And, the thing about Peyton is, and we talked a little bit about it, Steve, earlier, is you put in the work, but there was no gray area. This is the way it's going to be done. There's no like, oh, I thought you were going to do this. No, you thought I was going to do that. No, there's none of that because it's been talked about. It's been worked. It's been practiced. And so
– Have you been on teams where there was a gray area?
Oh, yeah. Just kind of like, we'll figure it out type of deal, right?
Oh, man.
Certainly. Been on a bunch of those teams. So I think, when you have the leaders on the football team where it matters the most to them, and those leaders, they got to be your better players. And when you have that, now you have a chance to do something. And you need some luck along the way with health and stuff like that. But when you have the leadership from some of your better players, your best players, now you have a chance to be a special team.
Yeah, it's crazy because some guys have great leadership skills, but if they're not really good players and on the field, then
who's going to listen to them?
Right.
Well, it's like, all right, buddy. Thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. you got to be a good player, to have some kind of voice in the locker room.
You've got the team drill going here now. Melvin Gordon back on the field. Yeah. And Brandon, a lot of times people on Twitter, Facebook, they're like, "Hey, show us the formations.
Right.
We want to see the 4 plays." We can't do that. We can't show the plays. There are teams out there who are trying to get an edge, and they'll do anything.
Sure, certainly. So, you want to keep some things under wraps with what you're doing personnel-wise, scheme-wise. And you look at the Denver Broncos this year, we talked about the lack of an offseason, how it could hurt the offense because you got a new offensive coordinator. Drew Lock's going into his first year as a true starter. But the lack of an offseason, the lack of preseason games might help this offense in that regard. When defensive coordinators don't know what they're going to get. Right? They don't know what they're going to see from the Denver Broncos. What's going to be their base personnel? Are they going to be more of a 3-wide team? Are they going to be more of a 2 tight end team? What are they going to lean their hat on this year? Well, defensive coordinators won't know that. Mike Vrabel and Tennessee Titans, they won't know what the Denver Broncos are going to present to them on Monday night because no preseason games.
None.
And so that's why you want to keep all that stuff under wraps as much as possible.
Yeah, and I feel bad for a lot of the young guys who aren't having a full preseason to be able to show what they can do, and there'll be a lot of guys who won't make a team because it's just not enough time, and you got to go with what you know.
That's right. It's unfortunate. It's just the situation that we're in right now. And normally in camp we got 90 guys. Now you're down to 80 because you had to restrict the size. And certainly preseason games, a lot of jobs are won and lost in the preseason. And without those games, you're going to have to try to project, if you're John Elway and Matt Russell, the future and looking at, some of these younger guys. And do you think they have it or not? You just got to kind of give your best educated guess because you don't have those games to evaluate to say, hey, this Chris Harris guy, he needs to be on this team. This Rod Smith, these types of late round picks or undrafted guys,
that was smooth, Beasto.
Well, yeah, you like that? Oh, well, thank you. So it's one of those things. Well, yeah, it's gonna hurt a lot of those guys, I think.
Yeah. Now, again, playing for 5 different teams, having to learn new playbooks. How difficult is it to go into a new organization, new system, and learn a playbook like the offensive players are having to do right now?
So hard. It's so hard. Not only just to learn it, but to be able to go out there and do it. Mm-hmm. That's the hard part. You can sit in the meeting, the Zoom meetings and all this stuff and say, oh, yeah, I got that. Oh, yeah, okay, got that. But then all of a sudden set hut. Do you got it or not? And that guy's in your face. You're like, wait, what was that again?
Yeah, I thought I had it.
Right. No. Oh, and then wham, the guy hits you. I mean, so there's another step to it than just learning. You got to go out there and practice it and do it, and then you become comfortable. And that doesn't happen overnight. That takes, hours and hours of practice time to do it. So it's certainly difficult. I wasn't football for me. I feel like my football IQ is pretty high. I'm not, I don't have a high IQ. I'm not the smartest guy, but I feel like my football IQ is really high, and I understand football and concepts. But going to new teams and trying to learn a playbook without an off season to have practice time is really, really difficult. And so I feel for some of these guys out here, and a guy like Drew Lock who's got to know everything. Yeah. I played receiver. I just had to know one position, maybe 2, inside and outside. But a guy like Drew Lock that has to know everything, protections, offensive line, all these different things. It makes his job so much more difficult.
Now, did you have a system for learning?
No, there was no system that I had, and I always kind of hoped that one offense would kind of bleed into another offense and be like some similarities there. So whenever that happened, it was nice, but for the most part, it was just sitting up late nights and just pretending like you're at finals week or something.
Man.
Which is not ideal. And for me, a couple teams I went to right at the beginning of the season or during training camp.
Okay.
So I didn't have that whole offseason to learn the playbook and learn new terminology, and so that makes it even more difficult when not having the off season. And they didn't have an off season this year, so I know the situation a lot of these young guys are in, trying to learn on the fly here. Not an easy thing to do. Yeah. Defensive guys, Steve, y'all don't have to think. Y'all don't have to think.
Run around and hit somebody.
You just like see ball, hit ball, right? Knock that guy out, right? Yeah. So us offensive guys, we actually had to think about what we had to do. We had to count our yards, 6 yards and stuff. You just go knock people out. So it's a little bit more difficult for us.
There's no strategy to what we do. Hey, the Facebook, you guys you've spoken.
Oh yeah?
Through the vote.
Who do we got?
Who do you think? Who would you have picked? Who would you have chosen?
Man, there were so many good choices there. Wow.
We had Justin Simmons, Bradley Chubb, Alexander Johnson, and Jarrell Casey.
I would have chose A.J. Johnson because I just want to know a little bit more about him and watch him, and so that's who I would have gone with.
Well, guess what? You are sorry.
Come on, Steve. I thought I nailed it.
No, man. The fans want to see Bradley Chubb.
Okay. You couldn't go wrong. You couldn't go wrong, right?
Yeah. Bradley Chubb's coming off the injury. They want to see, hey, does he still have that spring in his step? Is he still getting to the quarterback? He's going up against Garrett Bowles there. He's no limping in that leg. Man, he's good to go. Oh, nice breakup by Bryce Callahan.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve. And I think if I had to do it all over again, say it all over again, I might have chose Bradley Chubb. But you want to see what he's looking like right now. What does that lead look like? Fans that you're not able to come out here and see what these guys are doing. Yeah, get an eye on the number 5 overall pick a couple years ago, a guy that's until last year's ACL was. On his way to big things. So it's going to be fun to watch him this year, and I'm sure fans are going to love watching him here.
Now, you had a quad injury that put you on the shelf for a year, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, when you were coming back, what was that like mentally, having to deal with that in practice?
It's one of those things where, I've had an ACL before. I tore my Achilles before.
Oh, wow.
And so I had Liz Frank surgery on my foot. So any of those injuries, a quad injury, I didn't have to have surgery on the quad, but certainly I still felt it. But any of those types of injuries, for me, I didn't think about them out there on the football field. You can't.
Good.
But that means it was healthy.
Yeah.
That means it was healthy. So when I'm running and cutting and I feel healthy, then, I don't think about it. So I was fortunate that when every year I came off of one of my major injuries, the next year I never had any kind of real setback. So, you're looking at Bradley Chubb now and what he's been able to do coming off of that injury. He's been able to not miss a beat. And so that tells me that that thing is feeling really good for him, and he's comfortable with the surgery and the rehab and everything that he went through.
Right. And I think they may have given him one day off to.
Certainly,
yeah,
that's smart, right?
Break.
You want to pace him at the same time. You don't want to, because this guy you're counting on. You need him healthy. So I think that's a smart plan from Vic and them. Every now and then you need to give him a day or so off.
Yeah, but man, for the most part, he's been out there. He's been doing it. He hadn't been looking for any breaks. The easy way out.
Right.
And we already know from the way he worked the last couple of years that. He's a worker, man.
That's right.
He's going to fly around, another one of those young leaders of this defense. And if he's back 110% full speed.
Well, that's a foundation piece. That's who Bradley Chubb is. So, sometimes you can come back better from an injury. It just puts things in perspective, your love of the game and all those types of things. So hopefully, with Bradley this year, he can play a healthy season. If he does that, he's going to have a great year.
Yeah.
He's got all the talent in the world. He's going to have a great year if he can just stay healthy.
So, B. Stoke, can you believe that we have someone watching from Tokyo?
Tokyo?
Yes.
How about that? Wow. Much respect. Much
it's
respect.
1 a.m. in Tokyo.
You know what? I would say that is crazy, but at the same time, Broncos Country is all around the world.
Everywhere.
And, it really is. And so there's so many great fans
And we appreciate
football,
you all.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
We also have Germany, Brazil, the Bahamas, Argentina.
How about that? How about that? I mean, that's impressive. That really is impressive. Shout out to all of them, and showing the love to Broncos Country here, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. But the Broncos have a great brand, Steve, and you were a huge part of that. Winning those couple Super Bowls and being a part of some great teams, and so it's got to be great for you to see that brand living on.
Oh,
and
man.
I mean, but y'all were the foundation pieces. Mr. Bolin set this thing up. Mike Shanahan, Elway, yourself, and all the great players that y'all had. That kind of what got the train going here. And now you sit back here and you're a Hall of Famer, and you got people from all over the world tuning in to listen to you and to watch the Broncos. I think that's just awesome.
Yeah, man. Beautiful history, man. It started in 1960 with a lot of great players, a lot of owners, a lot of people who take a lot of pride in this organization. Got Cortland Sutton over the middle.
Yeah, nice.
Got a little 7-on-7 going on over there.
Yeah, nice play, nice little slant route from Drew Lock, fitting it in a nice tight window, and Cortland showing his strong hands. He's having a great camp, and that's, we talk about foundational pieces, Steve, and you look at a guy like Bradley Chubb, but a guy like Cortland Sutton who just gets it, and who's has the right mindset, and these are the guys you build championship teams around. So, he's the next great Broncos wide receiver, and last year he had his breakout year. And it's going to be fun to watch him and Drew continue their careers together.
Yeah, I agree. And he's been a durable guy, too. He's a guy who's been available.
That's right.
He doesn't miss practices, doesn't miss games. And I think that's what we're looking for on that offensive line, where, we have some great players, especially on the inside. And Garrett Bowles, he's been that guy at the left tackle position who's been available, been consistent, has been durable.
That's right.
We need him to
clean up a few things.
With the penalties, and I think he's going to have a good year this year, especially considering the coaching that that he has. Now the new system, hopefully that doesn't set him back any.
That's right. That's a good point. It is a new system, but he does have his same coach coming back, like you said. So hopefully that kind of plays in his favor, having Mike Munchak come back in his second year to be working with Chris Cooper.
First time in his career that he's had that. Yeah.
First time in his career he's had his offensive line coach back, which it's a big deal. It really is, to continue that development.
Yes.
And a guy that didn't play a lot of offensive line in college, played the 1 year at Utah, and so hopefully that pays dividends for him. But I'm with you. I think he's going to surprise some people this year, and I think he's going to have his best year of his career this year, and I think it has to do with Drew Lock, but I think he's going to clean up some of those mistakes, and we're going to see a better Garrett Bowles this year.
Yeah, and also with the interior offensive line being strong, that being Lloyd Cushenberry or Austin Slotman, Patrick Moore, whichever one of those guys starts, then you got Graham Glasgow, you got Dalton Reisner,
yes, and
then with Drew Lock being mobile, as long as you don't have guys coming up the middle and from the outside.
That's right.
If we got the middle secured, maybe on the outside we don't have to be great.
That's a
with
great
Drew
point.
Lock's mobility, he'll be able to still be able to get outside the pocket and make some plays.
That's right. That's a great point. I like what they've done. Addressing this offensive line. You see Reisner in the second round last year, day one starter. He's great. Addressing the center position. We got a good competition there. Let's see who wins it. And then going out in free agency and getting Graham Glasgow. So hopefully that interior is rock solid. And I think, like you said, Drew Lock's mobility and his arm strength really helps the offensive line out. And Garrett Bowles played probably his best 5-game stretch of his career last year when Drew Lock took over.
Yeah.
So I think looking at that and Drew Lock's mobility and his comfortability, and just being more comfortable in the NFL and knowing that he belongs, will help your offensive line out. I certainly know, playing with Peyton Manning, that he was the offensive line's best friend, knowing when to get rid of the football, knowing where the trouble's coming from, but also Drew has that mobility, like you said, to be able to escape pressure.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, This has been fun, man.
My man.
Really appreciate you coming out. Great conversations, great insights.
Well, thank you. I've been over there a little bit further away, and I look over here and I just get jealous. So it's been a pleasure to be able to come over here and sit with the man himself, and I certainly enjoyed talking some football with you, Steve.
Yeah, same here. All right, Matt Boyer, take us away, my friend.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you to Brandon Stokley, our special guest for today. If you missed any of today's training camp practice, you can head to denverbroncos.com or our Denver Broncos social channels to get caught up. After today's practice, head coach Vic Fangio, as well as Nick Van Nett and Josie Jewell will meet the media as scheduled. Of course, that could change, so make sure you keep up to date with our website and social channels. Tonight, though, on Channel 20 at 6:30, training camp tonight. Alexis Perry will be recapping all of the day's action, so make sure you tune in again, 6:30 p.m. locally or 7 p.m. on our YouTube channel. And of course, don't miss the Thrilogy, part 2 of our 3-part series, the Broncos 2015 AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. Von Miller taking his game to another level. Peyton Manning finding Owen Daniels a couple times in the first half. Those touchdowns held up, as we all know, but some great highlights to look forward to on Sunday, August the 30th. Check your local listings. We'll be on in Grand Junction. We'll be on in Denver, Colorado Springs. KOA also has the simulcast, so tune in there if you can't get in front of a screen. And, of course, tomorrow, we're back again, 9:15, tomorrow's a day off. At this point in training camp, folks, you lose track of the days. At 9:15 a.m. on Thursday, Tyler Columbus will be joining Steve Atwater down on 27 Hall of Fame Plaza. So, again, off tomorrow on Wednesday, back again at 9:15 a.m. on Thursday. That'll do it for us today on Broncos Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. Special thanks to Steve Atwater, Brandon Stokley, Sidney Jones, Phil Milani. Broncos Country, thank you for tuning in from all over the world. We will see you guys on Thursday.
Training Camp Live, powered by Ford, has been brought to you by All Copy, Empower Retirement, King Supers, and FanDuel.